We had a great time last week. We've had a great time for the last few months. So we figured we're going to do it again. Here
Let's
we
keep it
are.
going. It's the holiday season. We're gonna give you mood.
There is a good chance we make it through the entire season. So if you haven't tired of us yet, we'll give you plenty of opportunity.
Oh yeah, and maybe we'll take a Christmas break. Maybe we won't. We keep talking about our fun night at the Sweaty Ball a couple years back. So maybe we can relive that night at some point. Get some bonus content.
It was one of the most fun Christmas parties I've ever attended, and hopefully at some point we'll give you that bonus content. We don't know when. We'll just keep you on the. We'll keep you on edge here.
Absolutely.
Now, what a great week this was. Timothee Chalamet and my what's that?
Chalamet.
Chalamet. Well, as I've said to you a few times, I still don't know who he is, but I like him now. And my dear friend, close personal confidant, Bruce Springsteen in the E Street Band.
Yeah, this was an episode that I know of Timothée Chalamet just by his name and what he's done, but he's really a pretty well respected actor, but not in any big time like production or movies that maybe the ordinary person would know. But I think he's a guy who is his career will be one to kind of track and look at because he's a very very talented actor. But as we'll talk about, I think there are some parts that it's always fun seeing someone who is as accomplished on the stage and screen still appear at times nervous by a show like this, which is it's silly, it's funny, but it's the institution of it that it makes the big seem smaller sometimes.
And this probably dates me. This probably makes me a very old man, but he just seemed so genuinely excited to be doing that and having so much fun. He had a youthful energy to him that I really enjoyed watching. I mean, there were some skits where he was in there and he was clearly he was enjoying it as much as the people at home were enjoying it. And God, I loved that. It added a different energy to it. I really enjoyed it.
One thing I liked about our talks, our reflections on the episodes is that note of sometimes you can pick up on that. Like I think in the moment maybe you don't, but you think back on the show, it's like you can see moments in which absolutely he was just having so much fun. It wasn't great acting because it's not supposed to be great acting. It's supposed to be a fun experience, and he definitely had fun with it, but did a great job in his acting in the sketches.
I don't want it to be perfectly polished, I mean, I think some of the best moments are looking at the cast and the actors just having a good time.
Totally. So, and we'll talk about his love for the show and his monologue piece, but things got let off with a monologue, which I was very happy to see this because, again, we talked about last week, but moving away from politics as much as they can. This week, the cold open was Dr. Anthony Fauci and is it Deborah Birx?
I believe so.
As kind of talking about the vaccine, it wasn't like laugh out loud funny. It was just a good solid cold open. It was short. It was to the point. Had a couple jokes that landed, some that didn't. But it was brief. It did what it had to do, and I thought it just was a nice change of pace.
And it raises again the question: is there anything Kate McKinnon can't do? I mean, there were amazing similarities between her, Dr. Fauci, and her Rudy Giuliani. However, clearly two very different characters, and just as amusing. I texted you right away and I said, "Now wait a second, has she played Dr. Fauci before? Did I forget this?" And I don't believe she has. I think that was his debut. I know you had brought up that Brad Pitt had played Dr. Fauci, but I don't remember him being on the show otherwise.
I think that's it. And I think the whole Fauci thing with Brad Pitt was sort of Dr. Fauci once commented how he would like to have Brad Pitt play him kind of jokingly. But it is kind of surprising that they have not brought him out in any capacity until this point. But, Kate McKinnon had the voice down pretty well. Obviously, Kate McKinnon's a younger woman, so didn't quite have the look, but it had the voice, and that's for Fauci. That's all you really need.
Well, and I think just the idea of throwing bras at him and things like that, and of course Dr. Birx or Dr. Bricks, certainly that's just kind of a funny play there in the fact that she's been very important in this whole thing too, but has just been completely totally overshadowed, and I thought it was like you said, it wasn't laugh out loud funny. It wasn't, oh my gosh, this is the best cold open I've ever seen, but it got the job done. It was very pleasant. And it was, like you said, the length, something we talked about so early on in the season so much was just the length that the cold opens were too long. This was perfect.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that we don't know her name, if it's officially Burks or Bricks, speaks to the joke. And we're not trying to be funny. It's just,
I don't know her name.
Everyone knows Fauci. Fauci's a heartthrob. Dr. Burks is the one who was, nodding, kind of shaking her head when President Trump was talking about bleach in your veins and stuff. And so it was funny, but I like the brevity of it. To me, that was nice. And then go to the monologue, in which Timothee Chalamet comes out, and he definitely appeared a bit nervous, as we've talked about before, with first-time hosts. He mentioned he's from New York City. His mom was a dance teacher, I believe he said, who had some background parts in SNL, including Massive Head Wound Harry, an iconic sketch from our youth.
Now this is kind of a fun behind-the-scenes moment, but anybody who's watching this probably knows the two of us, and they except for our international viewers, we haven't met, but they're loving it. You probably know that it's very hard for me to stay up on Saturday night to watch it live. I almost always watch it Sunday morning with my big cup of black coffee. But Sunday morning, I had woken up to a couple texts from you because you were watching it live. And I woke up to a text that said, "Massive head wound Harry," with a great exclamation point. And what was really exciting to me was I wondered, how in the holy hell, how could this be? How could Massive Head Wound Harry play any role in this episode? And I was so excited to find that out. And it was such a cool throwback moment, not only, I'm sure, for mother and son, but for fans of the show like us to go back to a sketch that we remember so fondly because of the dog ripping off the wig. And, it was great. It was just a great start to the monologue.
I'm just gonna lay down for a nap.
Yeah.
And then so he then goes over to the piano to fake play the piano and sing a song with Pete Davidson. I thought this was okay. This was fine. Pete and they did have good chemistry together. Both New York City guys. It wasn't too long of a thing, so I thought it was all right.
Very Zach Galifianakis like. I mean, very, very much a throwback to something that he's done a couple times during monologues. And it's interesting you bring up the Pete Davidson thing because later on we'll talk about another sketch with the two of them. But I don't know if those two are friends or if they know each other. But it seemed to me that Timothee Chalamet was unbelievably comfortable and happy and had a different energy when he was working with Pete in this episode.
Yep, absolutely. We then come back to our first sketch, and this is one they went to commercial, and they cut during the commercial. They showed kind of like the cast going through last minute things and the whole whatever. We always talk about liking that, and you saw that the cast members on the live broadcast had you could see them having like the virus type hats on. So you kind of knew something was coming, and this was I forgot the name of it. Some of the Rona Family Christmas, maybe, was that right? The Rona Family Christmas.
Yes.
Man, I thought this was so well written. I thought this was so well written, top to bottom. Just great jokes. There was no lags of dead time. Everything was a joke off of a joke. I thought it was just fantastic, and they incorporated a lot of the cast, which I thought was to me. It's always, I like when they do that.
And I would offer that it's really, when you look back at the sketch, it really is the writing. Again, it's not a sketch that makes you laugh out loud or makes you just, oh my God, you got to watch this. But you listen to the dialogue and you listen to the jokes and you just admire how well done it was. Very, I wouldn't say it's the same style of comedy, but I would compare it almost to a Jerry Seinfeld type of thing where I probably don't laugh out loud, but I definitely sit there and say, wow, that was really great wordplay, or I can't believe they came up with that.
So then they first started off, Lauren Holt brought home a boyfriend, which was Andrew Desmukes. He can talk.
We found it.
We saw that now, and I thought that'd be the Timothee Chalamet character, who was the first one, who infected Tom Hanks. The parents are very proud that she brought home the guy who infected Tom Hanks. But then Chalamet was the kind of the bad black sheep of the family, if you will, and he wants to get the vaccine and all this stuff. And I thought it was really clever. You're right. It wasn't one that you want to go back and say, oh, I need to watch it again. But it's one that I thought was very well done, very clever. Just really good writing. And again, they used about 7 cast members, I want to say, which to me, that's always a sign of strength.
Yeah, the next door neighbors Herpes stopped by, and they were there for a little while, but they only show up when you're stressed out, which I just thought was just that was well done.
Yep. We then had a commercial with Lexus. They like to go in these Lexus commercials sometimes. And basically, Beck Bennett plays a man who lost his job in March of 2019, not 2020, and bought his wife a car, which no money to do so. And this was good, not great. I thought it was clever. It was a good spin on this. It wasn't so. Yeah, I thought it was good, not great.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I think it was. It went on a little too long. There was maybe a little too much going on there, but it was fine. It was fine, and it was again kind of your typical Saturday Night Live Christmas commercial type of parody.
Now, I did note in my show notes here that when that bit ended, it was 10:53 p.m. So you had the monologue, the cold open, the first sketch, and the first digital short in the span of 23 minutes. Back in October, the monologue was barely done by then.
I was going to say we were probably on our first commercial break by then. So it just helps when the show moves along faster. It just keeps it going.
And you get more
natural flow.
Get more people involved. And speaking of which, we then go to the Dionne Warwick show. And this is one where I'm going to say right now, it was long, but it worked. It worked being that long.
I didn't know. I have to admit to you that I try to be pretty up on social media. I knew nothing about Dionne Warwick being on Twitter and being apparently quite the Twitter follow. So I watched it kind of with what is this all about? But what it led me to do was immediately follow Dionne Warwick on Twitter, and I tell you, I have yet to. I'm very happy with that decision. I do not regret it at all because it is everything this sketch made it out to be.
I think last week I saw the Chance the Rapper tweet she sent and how Chance replied back, and I didn't know how revered she was in certain circles. I didn't know. I know she was obviously a big name. She's been around for a long time, but I didn't know she was revered the way that she is. That kind of caught me off guard. But again, they used Punky Johnson was her stage assistant. Andrew Zemeckis, he was not Zemeckis. He played a chef for like a couple seconds. Of course, you had Chalamet playing Harry Styles, Chloe Fineman playing Timothée Chalamet. You had Pete Davidson playing Machine Gun Kelly. Like a great rotation of people, of cast members, and it just kind of worked. And I think last year I mentioned Ego Woden was my breakout star last year, and she's continued to just be a force. And she can carry a sketch like this. That was impressive.
There were two things that I noted kind of in my mind that kind of came back down the road. One, last week you had said you were pretty sure at some point we would see Chloe Fineman play Timothée Chalamet because she's done that in the past. So congratulations to you, plus one Joe, for seeing that coming. And then also, I made a note of myself. I know you were not a big fan of the show Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, but there was a storyline in there. I'll keep it short, but Titus ends up on performing on a cruise ship, and he's the understudy for Dionne Warwick. And Dionne Warwick is played by Maya Rudolph on Kimmy Schmidt. So I really appreciate the fact that they gave this to Ego because they probably could have gone the easy route. They've got Maya around as far as Kamala Harris goes. So they could have given her that role. I'm really happy they didn't. I'm glad they gave another thing to Ego. She did a very nice job with it.
She did great. So that was a fun bit, a fun sketch. Then we had the digital short involving the farm and a tiny horse or baby horse. Neither of us got this. If any of our listeners understand what this joke is, because the audience seemed to be in stitches. The audience was going crazy.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. and I'm not trying to be difficult, I truly have absolutely no idea what this thing was all about.
Yeah.
None. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know.
We then get to our first performance by Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. And that brings us to our Hotel Tonight trivia question brought to you by Hotel Tonight. Book a hotel tonight. Use coupon code Dion Warwick and get 0% off your stay at Hotel Tonight. Now I got two here. I'm going deep to the well on this one with these two questions, and I'll probably need to give you some time to think about these. You are the Bruce Springsteen expert, at least of us two. Bruce has been on. This is his fourth time as a musical guest. I was surprised it wasn't more. Also surprised he never hosted. I was kind of surprised he never hosted before because he was so ubiquitous in the '80s, and he was obviously not New York per se, but he's not far off. And but yeah, he never hosted. But 4 times. This was his 4th time as a musical guest, and he has performed, by my count, 12 songs.
Okay.
How many can you name? So obviously this time we had 2 from this one. It should be, you probably know those 2.
We had Ghosts and I'll See You in My Dreams. So those were the 2 from this time.
Right.
I do know that he has performed Santa Claus is Coming to Town at some point.
So in 2015, he did, he did like kind of like a medley, if you will, before Christmas. In 2015, that was.
I believe.
Let me give you some more help here. So
okay, go ahead.
Performances. His first time was in May of 92.
92. Okay.
Second time was 2002. Third time was 2015, and this was the 4th.
Okay. Well, I've named the 2 from this time, and I've named Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
He did The Ties That Bind was the song he did. I think he threw in the Santa Claus is Coming to Town and The Ties That Bind.
Okay, so that was 2015 would have been the River Tour. Well, there are a lot of guesses from the River. There are a lot of songs he could have done. If he did The Ties That Bind, he may have done the River.
No.
He may have sung the River. He may have sung Hungry Heart.
No. Now, when I tell you to, you're gonna be mad if you don't get it.
Well, if it was 2015, it was the River Tour. That would make sense because The Ties That Bind is on the River. Bigger hits on the River are Hungry Heart, Out in the Street. I think. Maybe in 92, did he sing either Brilliant Disguise or Streets of Philadelphia?
No.
Wow.
This was digging really deep here into this.
Human Touch?
No.
All right. Well, let me think as we continue on because now I'm really 2015.
When you hear 2015, I think you're gonna be a little upset because of just when you hear it, you'll think that it was obvious.
Well, but the 2015 was the anniversary tour of the River. That's why it was the River album from 1980 or whatever it was. So anyway, go ahead.
And then the second one is 4 people. 4 people have parodied Bruce Springsteen on the show. Can you name the 4 people who have impersonated him on the show?
Oh wow.
One of them might be kind of easy, but the other 3 might be a little bit of a stretch. Now it's funny, he's impersonated in 85, 93, 95, 2004, and 2011 are the times he's been impersonated for what it's worth.
Was oh God, I just lost it. All right, go ahead. I will continue thinking about that, and we'll get back to you.
All right, so Bruce Springsteen's first song. I thought he looked great. I thought the band looked great. It's always I always have a moment of, oh yeah, when I see Max Weinberg playing the drums. I was a big Conan O'Brien fan show back in the day. So when I see Max Weinberg back there, I always do a double take and realize that, oh yeah, he is the band drummer.
And I haven't watched Conan in years, but gosh, did I love him in college and high school. Oh God, was he good back then?
Max was so good on that show too. I mean,
yeah, he was.
Great, obviously musical performer, but also just a foil to kind of be or a punching bag. I don't know, depending on how you look at it with Conan.
One of my very favorite Conan bits used to be Frankenstein wastes a minute of your time. I used to love that. Oh, what a good bit.
Oh man. Conan was all right, so then move on to update. First guest was Dr. Wayne. We know this. I don't know if I like them bringing this back. It was the first time was kind of they broke the fourth wall. Kate kind of had a breakdown. They did it again. We get this. Don't do this. That's my.
We know this already. We're good. We don't need him again.
Couple of great jokes. I thought again to me some of the best moments were the non-political jokes. A joke about Marcia Fudge and milk lemonade. I mean, Che's never afraid to go to the juvenile routes, and I love that about him. And then he followed it up with a joke about Indiana Jones and the Jamaican nurse,
which outstanding.
I thought it was very inside baseball New York City joke, right? Of like an elderly person having a nurse from a Caribbean nation or an African nation. It just seems very much like a very New York City reference.
Yeah, I would say it was both inside and outside baseball because it was very New York reference, but I think everybody gets it. I think everybody understands that joke.
Yeah. And then Melissa Villaseñor came on to be Dolly Parton. And man, I know Chloe Fineman's kind of become like the impersonator du jour right now, and I get that. It's fine. It's great. But I thought Melissa, last year doing Lady Gaga, this year doing Dolly Parton, she can impersonating a singer is to me is next level stuff. It was fantastic.
It was really good. It was really good because Melissa Villaseñor herself doesn't sound anything like Dolly Parton, so it gives you an extra kind of level of how hard that had to have been. I was very impressed.
She had the big things.
Yeah. Yep. That we won't go exactly what she called them, but it made me laugh.
We then had a baking show, which we've seen this before, and I always think it execution-wise, if it works, it worked this time for me.
It worked for me, yeah. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's whatever. This worked for me this time. It really did, and it might have been because of the nasty jokes with Timothee Chalamet, but it made me laugh.
I also liked how Heidi Gardner's was very good, and they just kind of okay.
Too busy.
They brush it off.
Too much going on.
There were 6 or 7 cast members in this one again. I think again, great. Let's utilize the whole cast. There wasn't enough of that early on in the season. I was happy to see more of that.
And I think it was our first sight of Kyle Mooney on that episode. We had to wait till well after 11 to see Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle's not getting the reps he once did. I wonder what too much writing on the wall or whatever the case is there. We talked about that towards the end. We then had the bit about the rap sketch with Chalamet and Pete Davidson kind of working off each other. The yeek. I don't know. It didn't do it for me, but it had some juice to it, but it didn't work for me.
It didn't make me laugh, but this is kind of the sketch that I was referring to when I saw him having just so much fun hosting this show. He just looked like he was absolutely having the time of his life, working with Pete Davidson, and just enjoying himself. And that really, as much as the sketch didn't work for me, that did. It was really nice to see. He just looked like he was genuinely having fun. And again, it could just be because I'm an old man saying, "Oh, look at the youngsters enjoying themselves," but it did.
Yeah. Now, they had the guy from Questlove on there, the Jimmy Fallon guy with that, and I thought this was fine. It didn't work for me, but it dragged out a little too much. But it was Pete and Timothy. They worked well together, so they can't all be winners. I think to me this was fine. I had no real problem with it. It just didn't do it for me. We then had another Bruce performance, and I think it's just he looks great. The band sounded great. For this one now, you can help me out here because you know this one. For this one, they gave everyone a chance to do a little solo bit, right? In the song, including the saxophone player. Who is that? The original saxophone player's son? Is that right?
Nephew.
Okay.
That is Clarence Clemens' nephew, Jake.
That was cool. I thought it was great. And again, as someone who watched Sopranos, seeing Van Zandt play, it's always kind of a thing. Again, like with Max Weinberg, it's like, oh yeah, he's the guitarist in this band. He also was this massive role in this massive show. It's kind of cool, just like
and the of course Patty Scalfa, being Bruce's wife, is a member of the E Street Band. It's always kind of fun to see her there and watch their interaction as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we close out with a bit of like Newsmax, the I gotta be careful how I use my words here. The very biased news channel, delving into sports. I thought this was a really good sketch. I mean, I thought it wasn't anything like, oh my God, it's so creative. But like, again, having the New York angle, the Jets being so terrible, using those lines of like logic and math don't make sense. So let's just lie to ourselves for a while. And we had more Andrew Desmukes again. He really got some good minutes in this one.
He got a lot of minutes in this one. I agree to disagree on this sketch. I didn't love it. I thought it was one joke played out for too long, but I do appreciate the thought process behind it. I do like the creativity behind it. I think it was a really great idea. I just, it could have been much. It was like a one-liner that lasted for 5 minutes for me.
Yeah. Any last guesses for our trivia kind of brought to be a Hotel Tonight?
Well, I mean, his book may have been coming out around then, so it could be Born to Run.
So I'll start with 92.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Performance. He did 3 songs on that one. Lucky Town.
Oh, I do like Lucky Town.
Lucky Town, 57 Channels and Nothing Else.
I couldn't name that song I didn't know it existed.
And then Living Proof.
Okay.
And then in 2002, he did Lonesome Day and You're Missing.
I don't know You're Missing. Lonesome Day is another good one.
And then 2015, he did Meet Me in the City. Meet Me in the City.
I do love Me. Oh God, is that a great song?
I mean, it's a song that, like, to me, like, I was.
You know what? It's on the river, so I knew I was close. I was on the river.
That's a song that, like, to me, it was like probably SNL was very much like it's in the city, obviously, and all that. So, and then, The Ties That Binds with the Christmas medley for 2015 appearance. Now, the people who have imitated him, now the one I remember the most is Adam Sandler doing it in the 90s.
Yeah, and Adam Sandler was my first guess. I should have just gotten that off my tongue. No doubt that he did it. I remember that.
And then
I believe he did it. Did he do it? Was when Courtney Cox hosted? I think they did one because she was in the Dancing in the Dark video.
That definitely could be. So that would have. Let's see. When he was in 1995 is when he was impersonating Courtney Cox musical guest Dave Matthews Band. There you go.
Oh.
So also Will Forte, Ben Stiller, and Gary Kroeger. Now, Gary Kroeger, I don't know.
I can't picture Ben Stiller doing it. I'm sure he did, but I don't remember it.
I don't know if he did it as host or must have been as a guest, a cameo on the show. He was a cast member in '89, so perhaps that was it. That one year he was a cast member, but there was no impersonation when he was a cast member. So maybe he just came back and did it. I don't know.
No, I did have. I had a whole bunch of. I texted you. I had a whole bunch of thoughts on the Bows this week.
Okay, yeah. Well, so let's get to that then. We had the Bows. We had no Baldwin, no Jim Carrey, no Maya Rudolph. We did have Questlove, but that was it. But Chalamet did kind of go off the script a little bit there.
He went rogue, and what I noted, and it's not a knock, but it's just an observation. I know you've brought up how well respected he is, not only as an actor on screen, but also on stage. And I've heard that too. I'm not saying he's not. I know a lot of people have a great deal of respect for him. I read something where when he did his acting audition, the person doing it said they gave him the highest score they've ever given anybody. So there's no doubt that he has a lot of talent. But it's always striking to me when you have someone who's that talented in acting when you ask them to improvise, sometimes they just can't do it. And the poor guy did not necessarily knock that 30 seconds out of the park.
It was not on a cue card, clearly, because he one point paused and caught himself and realized he was kind of botching what he was trying to say. It was great sentiment. It was positive, but yeah, he kind of flubbed it, which whatever. And then also something he was wearing like a legendary studio or production company sweatshirt, which is kind of like there's the current kind of war going on now over like releasing movies and stuff. And that got kind of into the industry stuff. I didn't really delve into that, but apparently that meant something. What else did you see in the closing?
Well, the thing that I noticed most was that I don't remember them all wearing masks as obviously as they did this week. It seemed like everybody was really wearing masks, being very careful. And the only reason it caught me was because there were two members of the E Street Band not present for the performance. Earlier in the week, Bruce had tweeted that Gary Talent, the bass player, and Sister Susie Tyrell would not be performing with them due to COVID concerns. And then everybody was seen with, wearing them very, very, very clearly. I know in the past, sometimes the only person we see with it is Jim Carrey. And so I thought that was very interesting to me, knowing that not all of the E Street Band was there and then everybody was wearing masks. I don't know if it's something Bruce requested or, frankly, it may have to do just with his advanced age. I don't know, but it was an interesting observation.
And I did notice on the cutaway from commercial and the live viewing, Lauren was working on the set. He had his mask on, working with the cast members. We had no AD again. We had no Keenan. The closing, I gotta believe Keenan is working on a show somewhere or something, or maybe he just stayed in California, or I don't know where he resides mostly. But I do wonder if we'll see him back this week. I know for a lot of the cast, the Christmas episode is a big one, so maybe we'll see them back. Maybe they're just on other projects and they can't get away. That's just
I don't mean to guess that anybody's sick or anything like that. I just thought it was an interesting observation.
Absolutely. I think it's just indicative of the times, and it's like I think everyone's doing the best they can with it. And SNL obviously showed with Morgan Wallen that they don't want to mess around with this. This is not something, especially now as cases are skyrocketing in certain places, and I think they want to get through this week big time. I think to have to put the kibosh on this week would be a tough blow to the show. I think they've done a good job so far, so I think they want to keep it going, get through this week, and then come back sometime in late January.
And I, like you, love the Christmas episode. I'm always very excited about it. I remember a few years ago when Blake Lively was the Christmas host, and they had the Muppets join her for the monologue. And I love the Christmas episode, so I'm looking forward to it. This past week, I give a very solid B. I enjoyed it. It wasn't a Hall of Famer, but I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping for an even higher grade next week.
I go B+. I thought it was great. I thought it hit a lot of notes. It was a good kind of vintage episode. Nothing that I'm like, this sketch is a must see, but I thought it was just good top to bottom. I really enjoyed it. And you mentioned that Blake Lively. I still remember that red dress.
Yeah. Bless her. Bless Blake Lively. I would say to you that it's interesting that we never talk about our grades before we record this, but we were really completely in agreement on everything except one sketch this week. Mm-hmm. And you liked it more than I did. And it's so interesting that you gave it a B+, I gave it a B. That adds up perfectly. That's really interesting to me.
We are wild and crazy guys.
We are wild and we are crazy.
So this is the season. This is the half season finale, if you will, I guess. So maybe next week we can do breakout performer, most improved, and then MVP if we think of it.
Absolutely.
I'm still holding on to my ticket with Kristen Wiig playing Amy Coney Barrett. I could say an election, legal challenge to the election results, going to the Supreme Court. Keenan would be a great Clarence Thomas. I'm just saying, like, we have some in place.
I continue to hold on to my ticket of Taylor Swift. I think last week we found out probably why she hasn't hosted or been the musical guest yet, and that's because she had a whole nother album coming for us. So I still maintain that sometime in 2021 she will double up as the host and musical guest.
Well, I think her being on at some point in time is right now paying about minus minus 2,000 right now. I have the ticket that if you make a $10 wager, you're getting back about 10 cents on that. So hold on to that ticket. You will win it, but it's not going to pay off a whole lot because it seems very obvious.
The good news is I made the bet when it was only minus 1,000.
Okay. But I think now with everything and the second album, and I think that she's done it before. Has she pulled double before?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, one or the other, if not both, I think is to me a no-brainer.
And I have to be honest with you. I know I'm not unbiased. I know I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. That episode got an A from me. It was just great. It was great. She had a monologue song. Forget it.
Shouldn't take yourself too seriously with it. I think it's huge for someone who is a diva to do on a show like that. I think she does a good job of that. But no, let's save our talk on Taylor Swift until she actually comes on board, because it's going to happen at some point in time.
Yeah. I got to calm myself down.
So Kristen Wiig, who to me is like, I think is my 1 or 1A all-time favorite female cast member. We'll get more into that, I'm sure, next week. Then Dua Lipa. Dua Lipa is the musical guest to round out the first half of the 46th season. 46? The 46?
Yep.
No. Amazing.
No, 47? 46. I don't know. I type it into YouTube every week. I just don't remember.
Yeah. I don't know. It's great, though. It's great.
Oh,
we made it.
There it is. That means time. Well, we will be back with one more next week.
Be kind to each other. Be kind to each other.
Be kind to each other. And what bonus content will we have? Who knows? Could be anything.
Subscribe for our Patreon.
It's going to be great.
It's great.
All right. Good night, Joseph.
Good night, Joseph.